Hi, everybody. Welcome to Summer Associate Hub's first virtual recruiting event of the school year, our live virtual summer program showcase, an event so nice. We are doing it twice. So today's session features some great firms, Free Frank, Goodwin, and Troutman Pepper Locke, a fantastic program to start off the year. My name is Albert, and I'm proud to have all of you here. Before we jump in, a quick intro. What is Summer Associate Hub? Summer Associate Hub is a free content and resource hub for law students embarking on the 1L and 2L recruiting process. I'm a former law student and big law associate. We know from our own experience how hard it is as a 1L to understand what it's really like to work as a lawyer and engage with firms. Our platform, summerassociatehub.com, has blog posts, podcast episodes, short video tutorials and exercises, interviews with attorneys, and other content to help you learn about practice areas and prepare for the recruiting process. We also host live virtual programs, which you should know about because you are watching one right now, where students can easily learn directly from and network with law firm attorneys and recruiting team members. We have some really nice programs scheduled for this school year. We have session 2 of the summer program showcase this Monday, November 3rd, and our very popular recruiting director Q&A the following Monday, November 10th. A lot of questions about the recruiting process, especially with the accelerated timeline. So these are very popular programs. We're also hosting a special event in collaboration with Sunny Kim on how 1Ls can leverage LinkedIn in recruiting. Very underrated piece of your candidate presence. That's next Wednesday, November 5th, 1 week from today. We're also going to be hosting our transactional practice showcase and our litigation practice showcase in January. It's a great way to learn about what these practice areas really mean directly from attorneys at firms. We're going to post a link in the chat to sign up if you have not already. We're also very excited to have our in-person job fair and interview program, as well as law firm office tours happening this January and February. Some more info to come on that. And we're also excited to be hosting our IP virtual interview program on January 30th for 1Ls with a technical degree and interested in a patent role at a top firm. So all that info will be in the chat. The best way to stay updated is on our newsletter, summerassociatehub.com/newsletter. And if you signed up for this event, don't worry, we've added you to the newsletter for you. So you're welcome. So jumping into our event, the virtual summer program showcase is first of its kind. We're giving law students direct access to hear from firms about their programs and how law students can best position themselves as candidates. So here's the agenda. Each firm will provide a short presentation about the summer program. After the firms present, we'll have a short panel discussion with super helpful insights on applying as a 1L, choosing a law firm, and other topics, so make sure you stick around. At the end of the presentation, the firms have also graciously offered to raffle off some pretty awesome swag. We're going to post a link in the chat for you to join the raffle. Please note that if you have to be present to win, and if you do win, we will be calling your name live on the air. At the end of the panel, at about 8:15 Eastern Time, 5:15 Pacific Time, each firm will host a separate breakout room where you can pop in, ask questions, and meet some of the firm's team members. The breakout rooms will all be available through this Zoom event, so stay tuned for easy instructions on that later on. All of the firms on this session are Summer Associate Hub veterans. Who are professionals at meeting students in the virtual breakout rooms and presenting to students on the panel. So you're in for a treat. Please take advantage of our wonderful participating firms. So let's get started. I'm going to kick it off with Dan, who's going to present about Troutman Pepper Locke. Dan, take it away.
Appreciate it, Albert, and I appreciate all of you guys. 1Ls investing your Wednesday night in learning a little bit more about firms. First of all, my name is Dan Botnavigan. I manage legal recruiting for the New York and New England offices of a firm called Troutman Pepper Locke. I am going to go ahead and share my screen because I think that might be helpful. So the question posed by Albert was, what makes our summer associate program different? And just a little bit of background about me. I spent what seems like a lifetime ago, because it was. I just came back from my 35th college reunion as a first-year IP litigation associate in big law. Did that for a couple of years, but now I've been in the game of working with law students, specifically in the talent space. And essentially what motivated me to leave practice was the idea of I really wanted to impart the knowledge that I wish I would have had in this opaque career path that is law, which has become increasingly opaque and increasingly sped up with respect to how it is that big law hires, what is expected of people, and sort of entering in this profession/apprenticeship that is becoming a summer associate, then ultimately an associate that goes through the ranks. So when Albert asked the question, what distinguishes Troutman Pepper's summer associate program, I came up with three main highlights. The first of which is I think, first of all, Troutman's is the program that I wish I would have gone through as a summer associate with sort of eyes wide open. The program is characterized by being comprehensive. Our program combines both the apprenticeship learn by doing model with classroom training by subject matter experts, everything from law firm wellness to law firm economics, to inclusion aspects by my colleague who happens to sit in the New York office with me, who is a PhD in behavioral psychology, in addition to the writing aspects, and how it is that the expectations are that you would write like a lawyer, kind of making less opaque and throwing the covers off the idea of what your deliverables are. Troutman's program is also unique, and one of the reasons I put up the share screen, our footprint is a lot different than other firms. You may or may not know that Troutman is the result of a merger of three old school national firms, Troutman Sanders, Pepper Hamilton, and Locke Lord. So our summer associate program is actually individualized, and we have the luxury of doing so because we have relatively small summer associate classes in each of our offices. I, for example, handle both New York and Boston, which are summer programs of 6 to 10 summer associates, and then sort of mapping all around the country. Our Atlanta program is about 20 summer associates, Philadelphia and Mid-Atlantic, similarly 20. North Carolina, Virginia, which includes DC, is about 25 to 30 summer associates split among multiple Virginia and North Carolina offices. And out on the West Coast, we have 30 or 35 summers. I'm calling it the West, but that includes Chicago, Dallas, Houston, as well as the Southern California offices. So I know I'm running out of time, but the individualized aspect of Troutman's summer program really is that it is fueled by you, the individual summer associate. It's your choice of what it is that you are going to choose to pursue in terms of practice groups, the people that you want to work with. And then finally, the summer associate program kicks off what we affectionately call a curriculum called University, which similarly fueled by you, which continues on into your both entry-level years and your junior associate years into all of your mid-level and senior years. This concept, which you can read on my screen share, of again, comprehensive interactive learning and ongoing building of expertise fueled by you, the individual associate, as someone who is powering and fueling how it is that you're going to learn and grow. I talked almost as fast as Albert there.
Shots fired, catching strays, but I do talk very fast. Thank you, Dan. And you'll hear more from wonderful insights from Dan on the panel coming shortly. So thank you so much. We're moving on to Free Frank. Adam Cohen is going to present for us about Free Frank summer program. Adam, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Albert. Let me just share my screen. Let's see. All right. Hopefully my screen is sharing. So I'm Adam Cohen. I'm a partner in the M&A private equity group at Fried Frank. I am also a member of the firm's recruitment committee in our New York office. I just want to thank everyone for being here. This is a great program, and we all recognize that the process, or maybe lack thereof, has gotten uniquely challenging as compared to prior years. And so any opportunities that we have to help provide to help educate 1Ls and 2Ls for that matter about our firm and our program, and try to help you all figure out how to navigate the process is we're really fortunate to have this opportunity. So just to provide a little bit of background on our summer program, Dan made a comment when he was talking about Troutman's program that it was the program he wished he had gone through when he was a summer, and it occurred to me I felt the exact same way. Back in 2009, 2010, summer programs, if they existed, were small and everyone was full of fear. And fortunately, as challenging as the overall process is, I think that there's still a lot of great opportunities for for law students all over the country to to get involved in really fantastic summer programs, and we take a lot of pride in ours. So just to hit on some of the highlights, we have a big focus at Fried Frank on mentoring, on associate mentoring, and that starts with the summer program. So our 4-tier mentoring program, each summer associate has a first-year associate buddy, a first-year buddy. They have a junior associate mentor, a mid-level associate mentor, and a partner mentor. So we try to make sure that every individual summer associate has a range of resources, people that they can talk to throughout the summer about any concerns, anything they want to understand about the firm, internal dynamics, different groups, and the like. Our work assignment process, which whenever we're meeting with interviewing candidates, is always at the top of the list. We don't have a formal rotation program. We have a dedicated member of our team who is responsible for working directly with each summer to to help guide them towards or help them find work that meets what they're interested in. Some summers come into our program and they know I want to be a litigator. I'm really interested in asset management. That's all I want to do. But for the most part, I think the majority of the students that come through the summer program, they don't know what they want to do yet. They don't know whether they want to be litigators or transactional lawyers or regulatory lawyers, and so we try to have a program that it's essentially a choose your own adventure. You get to try out whatever practice areas you might be interested in, and it helps the summers focus in on where they might want to land, and also sometimes helps people rule things out. They get a taste of something, they realize it's just not for me. So that's how our assignment program works. We have a big focus on training, and we have a lot of training resources throughout the summer program. So our corporate training series, we have throughout the course of the summer, each group within our corporate department. So that's my group, the M&A group, asset management, which some firms call their funds group. Our finance group, our capital markets group, and our financial services group, they all have their own training series. So there's 2 different training modules for each practice group within our corporate department. That's just corporate. Then our real estate training series, that involves a mock lease negotiation. So the summers have an opportunity to look at the terms of a lease and mark it up and learn what goes into revising a real estate lease. And then our litigation training program, it's led actually by our IP litigators in DC. It's an 8-week-long program. It lasts almost the entire summer program. So each week the group meets and to discuss the steps and phase of an IP litigation matter, and then the program culminates with the entire group of both our summers in New York and DC coming together for a mock trial at GW Law School before Fried Frank lawyers who are the judges. So we have a whole lot of training opportunities. And that's in addition to the real substantive work. I mean, we work hard within our group and within all the other groups to try to give summers an opportunity, as many opportunities as we can, to get exposure to and involvement in real work, because part of the goal of the summer program is to help the summer associates get a sense of what it's going to be like when they start as full-time first-year associates. So, in addition to that, we have a number of different employee resource groups within the firm, and we try to facilitate networking opportunities for our summer programs. The one thing that's not listed on the slide that I have on the screen is probably the most important part of our summer program, which is all the fun stuff that we do, and that really is we have a phenomenal team that puts together incredible programs. I mean, just we're going as I was preparing for this panel, thinking back through the past couple of years, and we've had concerts, Justin Timberlake and Beyonce. We do baseball games, the Nationals and the Yankees. We have a partner versus summer basketball game, which is a really intense experience for those who play. Wine tastings, Broadway shows, private receptions at art museums, group events, casino nights. So we we want to have a really, it's really important for us, I should say, to have a balance between giving our summers a realistic sense of what it's going to be like when they start as full-time associates. But the reality is that everybody who makes it into a Big Law summer program worked really hard to get there, and we want people to have fun. It's summer, right? We want you to enjoy yourselves. You're still students, and so it's really important that we have that balance between the realistic sense of what it's like to practice law, and also getting to know your summer class and spending quality time and enjoying yourself. So that's really, I think, the key highlights about our summer program, and I look forward to the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Adam. Maybe feel free to invite your friend Albert next time we go to these concerts and stuff. Throw me an invite. And I really appreciate that, Adam. To the audience, make sure you take a look at the chat. We're setting the links to all the firm mailing lists, which is a great way to stay in touch with all the firms as we go through the process. So we sent the link to Troutman's mailing list and Fried Frank's mailing list. We're going to pop Goodwin's link in the chat right now. So we're going to move on to our last firm presenting as part of the presentations. Kevin and Tyler, take it away for Goodwin.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Albert, and thanks everyone for joining this event. Excited to talk to you about Goodwin. So I think just real quick, we're going to go first into a little bit about Goodwin and who we are and kind of what we do. I think, from my perspective, one of the core goals of our recruiting program is to really find folks who align well with our cultural values and with our industry focus, right? So I'll talk a little bit about what those values are and kind of what our industry focuses are. Just first, real quick, about Goodwin, we've got 16 offices. In the U.S., we've got Boston, New York, D.C., and then we've got San Francisco, SV, which is where I sit, and then we've got LA, Santa Monica, and we're about 2,000 lawyers. So if we could go to the next slide, one of the things I just mentioned was industry focus, and this is where I think this is a defining characteristic, I think, of our firm. We really organize ourselves around the idea that we want to be deep in certain industries, right? And so those industries include private equity, life sciences, healthcare, investment funds, real estate, and technology, okay? And I will just say that for me, I primarily practice in the technology space. So what does this mean? What this means is that, for attorneys who work here, let's say you're a corporate attorney, you're not just sort of a generalist, right? Like if you're working for clients, you're really trying to understand what the industry is like and really kind of get deep into the needs of companies who work in that industry. So that's really what we try to do. And then what we find is there's a lot of kind of cross section in between these industries. So for example, there are a lot of med tech companies that we'll work with, or a lot of prop tech companies that we'll work with. And one of the things that this doesn't say is kind of AI, as everybody knows, AI is pervasive in terms of, companies and how active they've been recently. So if we could go to the next slide. I mentioned cultural alignment. We have a very kind of defined understanding of kind of how we view our culture, and we kind of term that the Goodwin way. And so you'll see here kind of, excellence, building relationships through trust and humility, understanding that we win as a team, looking for continuous improvement, being inclusive in everything that we do, operating with an owner's mindset. Those are all things that we really kind of center our practice around, in addition to kind of looking at industry verticals. So now I'll turn it over to my colleague Tyler, and he can talk about the details of the summer program and how to apply to Goodwin.
Thanks, Kevin. My name is Tyler Burrows. I'm the legal recruiting manager for Goodwin's DC and Philadelphia office, and I've been with Goodwin for about 2 years now. So I've seen the cycle change quite a bit. But I've also had the pleasure of sitting through 2 Goodwin summers and bringing in 2 summer classes. So just to talk a little bit about our program, it's a standard kind of 10-week program. We have an orientation where we bring all of our summer classes, all of the offices into Boston for a week long of orientation before they head back to their local offices. The program itself, like I mentioned, is 10 weeks long. You're paid as a as a first-year summer associate, or a first-year associate, I should say. And that annualizes to about 225,000 a year. So for that 10 weeks, you're essentially paid as a first-year associate. Our goal is to provide meaningful work assignments. So we're trying to give you substantive work. When you come into the program, you're either considered a business law summer associate or a litigation summer associate. And so the bulk of your work that you'll be doing for us will be in either one of those departments, depending on how you come into the firm. You'll have a chance to produce, deliverables. You'll have a chance to shadow client calls. You'll have a chance to learn from the best of the best at the firm. And we also have, a defined mentorship program through the summer. We pair you with summer advisors, and we place you into groups. So the summer advisor groups consist of attorneys from varying seniority levels. So we have juniors, mid-levels, seniors, and partners as well in these groups. And we find that kind of takes the pressure off of the individualized mentorship. And so our goal is for you to kind of get to meet all of our attorneys and see kind of how they have spent their time at Goodwin. So in terms of the social events, we also have some really fun events. I think I heard Beyonce was mentioned there. We took our DC summers to the Post Malone concert this summer. We also have taken them to hear an opinion reading at the Supreme Court. So our summer activities kind of vary in terms of what we're offering, depending on the geography, depending on which office you're in, we'll do different things. I know the Boston office always likes to take the entire summer class to the Sox game. And they have two pretty large suites that they host our entire summer class in. So it makes for a really great summer program. And, to the point mentioned earlier, you're still students. We want you to have fun. Our primary goal is for you to network with our attorneys and get to know the people that hopefully you'll be spending the next few years working with as a junior associate, and start building your relationships early at the firm. The application process, just to touch on briefly, our application will open November 1st, and so you'll be able to go in and submit your application. You are eligible to apply to our 2L summer position, which is the summer of 2027, if you are a current 1L student. You'll also have the option of indicating interest in our 1L position. So this upcoming summer, you'll be able to indicate that via the application that's opening this weekend. Applications are reviewed on a rolling basis. So we'll continue to review applications as they come in. We encourage you to apply in a timeline that works best for you. And you'll also be asked to only apply to one office location. So we ask you to really think about it now. Where would you like to be post-grad? And then only choose one office to apply to. And you'll apply either into the litigation or the business law department. I think it's important to know that we're not going to extend offers until we receive your fall semester grades. So be sure to send in those transcripts once they're available. Application materials, when you apply, we'll ask for a resume, your 1L transcript when available, an undergraduate transcript, cover letter, as well as we ask you to complete the suited assessment, which most of you are probably familiar with at this point, but just figured it was worth mentioning. The personal statement is an optional attachment if you are interested in being considered for a 1L position, for a 1L fellowship. So just something to think about. It will be an additional piece of the application that you'll need to submit if you are interested in 1L opportunities. So things that we're looking for in candidates,
Tyler, I'm just going to jump in. You got 30 seconds if you're able to any last words.
Sure. I would say I probably will leave with this slide then. Just like candidate criteria, I think it's most important to know we're looking for folks who align with our industries and practices, folks who are aligned with the Goodwin way, what Kevin mentioned briefly earlier before. We are looking for folks who are academically exceptional. I think that's important. So definitely focus on your first semester grades. And we're really hoping for business-minded professionals. Maybe you have work experience prior to law school. or maybe you've just spent a lot of time, delving into the industry of your interests. And then we're really looking for collaborative and team-oriented folks who are results-driven and who have strong interpersonal communication skills. So with that, I will kind of leave you to it.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin and Tyler. And yeah, any other questions that students have that want to learn more about any of the summer programs? The breakout rooms are a great way to do that. So I encourage everybody to make sure you stick around for the breakout rooms that'll open around 8:15 Eastern time to be able to ask questions, learn more about all of the firms. You'll be able to meet some more team members from most of the firms and take it from there. So before we do that, we'd love to kick off our short panel discussion. One thing to keep in mind for students, please feel free to use the Q&A function. We'll hopefully have some time at the end of the panel to take a couple of student questions. So if you use the Q&A function to ask any questions that you have, feel free to do that. And if you have any questions that are specific to a firm about their process or their program, feel free to use the breakout room and take advantage of that. All right, so let's jump into our panel discussion. So I'm going to tee up the first question, which I think is kind of the $1 million question. Obviously, when students are, when a candidate is applying to a job, obviously they have to meet, your basic application requirements. Aside from that, right, what do you look for in a candidate? And I know Tyler touched on this a little bit just now. What do you look for in a candidate aside from just meeting your basic requirements? So I'm going to tee it up for everyone. I guess, Adam, let's start with you.
Sure. So I think that beyond the obvious stuff, right? Everything that we can see on paper. One thing that we on the recruiting committee and I, personally am always looking out for is how interested does this person seem in Fried Frank? Have they done their homework on the firm, on me, on the other people that they're meeting with? And I think that's important for two reasons. I think one, we want, I think this goes for most firms. I mean, we want people who want us, right? We want people who are interested in, genuinely interested in joining our organization. But it also, beyond that, it demonstrates a level of maturity and seriousness, right? You're coming to the interview having done your homework, you're prepared, right? You're showing that you're taking the process really seriously, and that is indicative of how how we would expect you to approach your job. We're always looking for people who are intellectually curious because the law, especially in your earlier careers, but it kind of never ends. I mean, we're always learning. We're always learning new things, and so it's important. It's important to have that sort of intellectual curiosity and that genuine interest in learning and growing. And I think it's always a bonus when we see something that's just interesting on a resume, that's just fun or interesting to talk about, because then it helps to get a sense of who the person is, sort of outside of the outside of the transcript and the work history and the educational history. So those are probably the three things that I focus on and what I'm looking for in candidates.
Thanks, Adam. Dan, what do you think there?
I actually, I'm going to piggyback on one of the things that Kevin said about an owner's mindset. Kind of being able to show versus tell me via a resume or an interview interaction that you are the type of person who has an excellence orientation and really does take ownership of whatever aspect or whatever whole there is about what you've pursued in the past. Obviously, I happen to be a first-gen lawyer, and not everybody has necessarily the same opportunities, but sort of being able to craft a story of how it is that you showed the ownership mindset, whether that's in a class, on a journal, in a summer job, or even like waiting tables. That's something that I think is really important. And again, if you try to avoid the HR speak and the repetition and the buzzwords, and really tell a story about how you are going to enter this profession, wanting to be an apprentice, wanting to learn how to be a valuable asset as the junior most member of a team. I sometimes tell students, like, what I want is a medical resident, like that attitude of being there, like in the trenches, where even if I'm not performing emergency room surgery, I probably know the triage, the intake, the patient, what's on the ground most. And wanting to be there in the crossfire, both of information and what other people are doing, is really a mindset that I would encourage everybody to try to get across.
Love that. Thanks, Dan. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything that Adam and Dan said. I think for us, we recognize that being a lawyer is both fun and hard. And so, there are things that, in law school, undergrad, even prior work experience that, doesn't necessarily prepare somebody for, being a lawyer for clients who are doing interesting, complicated, high stakes things, right? So some of the things that we look for, in addition to what Adam and Dan mentioned, are things like grit and perseverance, right? Because there are going to be challenges. Every lawyer faces times when you just don't really know the answer, or you're juggling a bunch of different possibilities or factors, and it's really hard to figure out, like, well, what direction really feels right? And so having that grit, that perseverance, that kind of emotional intelligence to understand kind of how to navigate those situations. And I think the other piece of it is we live in a new world, right? I mentioned AI earlier, and AI is sort of at least some people think that it is going to have a huge impact on kind of knowledge workers and things like that. And so you know, having, being adaptable, being a critical thinker, being creative, being ethical and someone who has integrity, like those are all things that like a machine can't replicate, right? And so that's one of the things that, we are looking for in terms of, candidates, who may be a good fit for Goodwin, right? Someone who, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when AI is way more advanced than it is even now, someone who can still thrive in being a trusted counselor to our clients.
I love that. Thanks, Kevin. So I guess kind of flipping it a little bit, and instead of kind of how law students can stand out, let's talk about how law firms can stand out in the law students' mind. Right. So thinking about the reverse. So to a law student, especially first semester 1Ls who are kind of all of 8 weeks into law school, all law firms can look the same. So especially with the accelerated recruiting timeline, what do you suggest to 1Ls on how to tell law firms apart, either now or later in the school year? So I guess whoever wants to jump in on that, feel free.
I think I'm the first off mute, so I'll jump in. I think that one of the challenges with that is that at this early stage in your career, you're 2 months into your first semester of your first year of law school, the vast majority of students, they don't know what they're interested in, right? They don't know what they're going to be interested in. So if you don't know, I definitely want to do IP. I want to be a patent lawyer. I definitely want to be a leverage finance lawyer, which is the vast majority. To Albert's point, it is difficult to differentiate, because if you do know what you want, you can look for the firms that have the strongest practices in those areas. I think that one thing that you can think about, and you can try to get intel on, is what's it like to work there. So talking to 2Ls, talking to 3Ls, reaching out to alumni who are associates or partners. I mean, I get emails from I went to Penn Law, and I get emails on a weekly basis from out of the blue from Penn Law students just wanting to talk about my experience at Fried Frank. And I think that recognizing that you spend so much of your waking life at your job, and whether it's big law or anywhere else, right? The firm, what a firm looks like on paper, what its footprint is, all sort of the objective things. That's all relevant. But actually understanding what is it like on a day-to-day basis to work there? What are the what's the culture like? What are the people like? That is really, really important, and it's something that translates into it's a conversation whenever we're talking to Summers and they're trying to figure out, well, where do I want to land? What group do I want to rank as my top choice? It's like, well, think about the people. Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to get out of bed every day and spend 8-10 hours of your day with? And so I think that's something that you can reach out to people who can provide insight on that, and that can help sort of differentiate different firms and what your experience might be like.
I'm going to start out both echoing what Adam said and reminding everybody on this call. A lawyer's job, first and foremost, is to think, right? And thinking about things means that you are asking good questions and you are taking like information that's coming at you like from a fire hose and imposing some type of order that is that works for it to make sense to you and to other people. So in distinguishing among firms, what the first step that I always encourage students to take is to do a little bit of introspection as to what is important to you. And if you ask any two L's or three L's or associates that you'll meet in the breakout room, the answer to why they pick their firm is always going to be the people. So in that pursuit of asking good questions, it's your job as a 1L distinguishing among firms to ask them, all right, like what characterizes like the people that you like, or tell me a story as to how you knew that this was the firm or the summer associate program or the practice group for you. Throw yourself into that crossfire of information as to when other people's aha moments happened. Like your career path is going to be circuitous and serendipitous, and it's not going to be exactly the same as anybody else's. But you do owe it to yourself to arm yourself with sort of the landmarks and the inflection points in the road that other people have found. And you can only do that by really talking to people and coming up with a really introspective and personalized list or even a chart of the types of things that are important to you. And then sort of start from there.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I think just from personal experience, I grew up in Silicon Valley. I got into law because I grew up in a time when Google and all those types of companies were really just getting off the ground, and that really inspired me to go to law school and work with the tech companies that I now work with. And so I think if you can find if you have a passion, you may not know what kind of law you want to do, but you may know now kind of what you are passionate about. And so if you can find a firm that does kind of work in the area that you are passionate about, it means that you're going to be a lot more successful because you will be naturally just interested in the work that you're doing. And so that would be what I would encourage you to do in terms of looking at law firms.
I'm going to follow my own advice and sort of ask Kevin. This is the point where I owe a 1L having to do it all over again, where I would ask about sort of the goods and services that you deliver to those like Silicon Valley clients, like working on your commercial savvy and being sincerely interested in, but yet still sophisticated and curious about what it is that you're doing. I used to be an IP lawyer. I also like grew up professionally in the Silicon Valley. IP as an abstract area, super interesting. But you owe it to yourself, especially like in Kevin's breakout room or in our respective breakout rooms, to understand, all right, like then I'm interested in it, but why am I being paid $235,000 a year for my expertise on that? So like commercial savvy doesn't have to be mysterious. You should back up your interest in something with kind of showing the elbow grease that you're willing to put in to say, I'm interested in this. I'm going to pick an aspect that is of interest to me, and then feel free to dig in deep into that, because that's just going to be a sample of how it is that you approach, to quote Kevin again, that owner's mindset.
Love that. Thank you, Dan. So let's fast forward a few months, or even a year and a few months if you're a 2L summer, right? And you've transitioned from being a law student candidate to actually being a summer associate. So what is your advice of how to succeed as an actual summer associate once you join the firm, whether that's as a 1L summer or a 2L summer associate? So I guess, Kevin, let's start with you there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Like the number one thing that I think summer associates should focus on is kind of really developing their network. And that is both, within the firm, with clients, and externally too, right? And I think about, kind of my summer class, and this is back in 2002, but every one of those folks in that summer class for me, was kind of like the beginning of my professional network, right? And then the folks that I met, who were attorneys at the time, they were the ones who, when I was a junior associate, were the senior associates, and when I was a mid-level, became the partners. And so, that network is vitally important to your career path, right? And so, there's obviously a lot of other stuff that's really important, like, getting, great work assignments and things like that. But that if I could say only one thing that, that a summer associate should focus on, among all the other things, I would really say, building that network, being proactive, participating, just leaning into social events and things like that, super, super important.
Yeah, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like the old cliche, you only have one opportunity to make a first impression, right? And so I think that that the one of the key goals of the summer program is to help the summer associates figure out where do they want to land, and to help the groups figure out which summers do we want to try to get to pick us, right? And so there's obviously the low hanging fruit, right? Whatever assignments you're doing, you want to do your best work, right? You don't want to be overly stressed about it. You want to ask a lot of questions, but you want to put your best foot forward. I think that that the summers who tend to be most successful find the right balance between being relaxed, but also being being serious and really being thoughtful. I think what Dan was saying earlier about introspection is really relevant. I mean, it's sort of the part of going through the summer program is both looking around, but also looking inward and thinking about the type of person you are, and who do I fit in with? What am I interested in? What do I see myself doing? But I think that that a lot of the things that we recommend to our summers in terms of how can you have a successful summer, there are also things that we talk to our first and second year associates about in terms of how to be a successful associate. It's just ask a lot of questions, be a sponge, right? Be engaged, show people that you're really there, and that you're not that you're not just sort of going through the motions because you made it and you did. It's like you start your summer program and you get to take a deep breath. You're like, this is right. It's I got over this big hurdle, but I think that you always want to be looking ahead, and you want to really make the most of the summer program by thinking about how it's gonna impact your future within the firm, both in terms of how you're perceived by the lawyers there, and the type of work that you want to end up doing.
I work individually with each of our summer associates in both the Boston and New York offices in terms of choosing assignments, like doubling down on more assignments in a particular practice group, or continuing on a particular case or a deal as it develops. And during those one-on-one meetings, what I often hammer home and go back to is you need to be confidence inspiring. And what I mean by that is sort of shifting your mindset and saying, all right, this isn't a job. It's actually an apprenticeship. It is a career pathway. And it's not an assignment. It's a project on which I am involved. So when I say confidence inspiring, you really have to get the sense, and it's called enthusiasm, and it's called readiness to work. But the most successful summer associates really make other people feel as though they can be relied on because they care about what is going into both the end result and every bit of how the sausage is made. In the same way that partners and junior and senior associates do. So like it can be something as simple as would this information be more readily helpful to you in a chart versus a list? Or can I flip a PDF? Or can I organize these documents in a way? Or like this made it more understandable to me. Would you like to avail yourself of how I organize this? Come with ideas, come with enthusiasm, and echoing what Adam says, yes, you should ask questions, but you should ask good questions that really show that you've thought about and cared where it is, how you've invested the elbow grease in like getting to that good question, and really with the attitude of, all right, how can I help make this easier and make things go more smoothly?
Love that. Thanks, everybody. All right, so we're going to ask our last question. We're actually going to raffle off our firm prizes while we do this. This is my favorite question. We're going to ask all three panelists, why should a law student work at your firm? I think you're all familiar with our rule here at Summer Associate Hub. The answer is not allowed to be it's the people. As something one else will quickly see every time you ask somebody what makes a firm special, it seems to be the people. So we're going to ask that you have a different answer. So we're going to we'll go one at a time. We'll raffle off some prizes. Dan, let's stick with you. In 30 seconds or less, and we're going to be strict, 30 seconds or less, why should a law student work at Troutman?
You bet. Lack of fungibility is what I'm going with. It really is. We have the luxury at Troutman of having a truly individualized summer associate experience where summers have taken to calling me Uncle Dan. I used to be a big brother, but like there's a team of people around you who are your TAs, your RAs, people who are really invested in you carving out a path that is individualized to you.
Awesome, thank you, Dan. And Troutman has graciously donated a Yeti cooler to raffle off to the winner. So Heather Arslanian, if you are with us, please let us know in the Q&A that you are with us. Heather Arslanian, let us know that you're here to win the Troutman Yeti cooler. All right, Adam, on to you. In 30 seconds or less, why should a law student choose Fried Frank?
All right, so I'm not going to say it's the people because I'm not allowed. Although a law firm is just a group of people at the end of the day. But at Fried Frank, we have a great depth of talent and expertise, and just phenomenally successful lawyers throughout our various practice groups. But that's not what there's a lot of firms that can say that. That doesn't differentiate us. I think what differentiates us, and it's actually something from personal experience when I lateraled to Fried Frank that really surprised me, was that not only do we have all of this talent, this expertise, we have a deep culture of teaching. Being a lawyer, as Dan said, and Kevin as well, it's an apprenticeship profession, right? It's a place where you have really accomplished lawyers at Fried Frank who are also approachable, who want to teach, who want to help younger lawyers, law students, first-year associates grow and develop into the next generation of successful lawyers. So I think that coupled with our respectful culture, we really take a lot of pride in treating each other well. That makes it just a great place to work. I mean, there's as I think Kevin said earlier, big law is fun. It's hard. It's a hard job. But as far as I'm concerned, Fried Frank is as good a place as any to do it. So that's my answer.
Love it. Thank you, Adam. And Fried Frank is raffling off a Patagonia backpack. Jasmine Scott, if you're with us, please let us know in the Q&A. Jasmine Scott, you won a Fried Frank backpack. All right, Kevin, on to you to finish it off for us. 30 seconds or less. Why should a law student choose Goodwin?
Yeah, and I've, I feel like maybe I'm turning into a broken drum, but I think our focus on industry immersion is really, really important. Like, if you are a law student who is, interested in, kind of really getting deep into, tech or healthcare or real estate or whatever it may be, that we really focus on, if you come here, you're really going to get immersed in that industry. You're really going to understand, not just the legal aspects of it, but, how to think about it, from a business perspective, and how to be a counselor, for our clients, giving, great practical advice. So I think that would be one of the reasons to apply to Goodwin if you're interested in that.
Love it. Thank you, Kevin. And the winner of the Goodwin JBL wireless headphones is Stephanie Zayed. Please let us know if you're here, Stephanie Zayed. Well, thank you so much for this wonderful panel. Thank you for the wonderful presentations about the firms. And everyone, please stick around for the breakout rooms. We'll open those up in just a minute. But again, I just want to thank all of our panelists for being here and for presenting all this really nice information for our audience. And a reminder, we have our virtual programming is continuing for the rest of the next couple of weeks. So session number 2 of our summer program showcase is happening this Monday, November 3rd, featuring Baker McKenzie, Wilson Sonsini, and Proskauer. So make sure you join us again on Monday. And then, as I mentioned before, 1 week from today, Wednesday, November 5th, we're having our special program, how one else can leverage LinkedIn in recruiting. And then on Monday, November 10th, one of our most popular virtual programs, a recruiting director Q&A, not to be missed if you are 1L navigating this process. So make sure to join us in the rest of our virtual programming. Again, huge thank you to Troutman, Frank, and Goodwin for joining us tonight. We're going to open up the breakout rooms right now. It'll be very easy to navigate. Just use the breakout room function on the bottom of your Zoom. If you are on the browser or mobile version of the Zoom, you might have trouble. So if you don't see the breakout rooms box, just make sure to use the regular Zoom desktop app and join us. Again, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the breakout rooms.
Thanks, Albert.